Hello everyone, welcome to Module 3.1 of MSys 20. For this module, we will be discussing Systems Analysis and Design or SAD and Project Management or PM. These two topics will be the culmination of everything you have learned and will be learning as MIS undergrads in your junior and senior year. MIS undergrads will be applying both SAD and PM by finding a potential client and applying everything they have learned to propose and implement an IT solution for their clients. So, we will learn the basics of both SAD and PM to prepare you for what is to come. We will start with SAD, and these are the topics that we will be covering: to identify information needs and formulate possible solutions, and understand the phases or 7 steps of information systems development. Information is considered a key resource and must be managed the same as any other key resource of an organization. Decision makers now understand that information is not just a byproduct of doing business. It is information that drives and points to making the correct business decision. And so, information needs to be managed correctly. Costs are associated with the production, distribution, security, storage, and retrieval of all information. Its strategic use for positioning a business competitively should not be taken for granted. With the availability of network computers, along with the access of the internet and the World Wide Web, we are in the midst of an information explosion. As you can tell from experience of browsing in the internet, information is everywhere. The managing of computer-generated information raises issues with greater cost associating with organizing and maintaining and having users treat it less skeptically than information obtained in different ways. So, sir, okay, we get that information is important and all, but what does analysis and design have to do anything with information? As we recall, information is processed data. It is data given meaning. To be able to collect and process information quickly, we need to use information technology or IT such as systems and databases. So, at its core, we need SAD to properly plan how we analyze, design, implement, and maintain these technologies and systems so that we are able to maximize their use. Installing a system without proper planning leads to great user dissatisfaction and frequently causes the system to fall into disuse. If there are many errors in your system, then your users won't use your system. If you are not able to use the new system properly, I mean the users don't know how to use it well, then your users won't use your system. If the systems are an inconvenience or a hassle, then your users won't use your system. There is always that fear of your system not being used, and the time and money invested into this system will be wasted. Hence, this is why we need SAD. It lends structure to the analysis and design of information systems so that it can be prepared, designed, and implemented properly. And with the users of the system being at the center of the experience, user involvement throughout the system's project is critical to the successful development of computerized information systems. Let's get into the participants of systems development. We have the stakeholders. These are your clients who ultimately benefit from the project of developing computerized information systems. Next are the users. They are the ones who will be using the system. You must be able to take into account their experiences when designing the system because they will be the ones who will be using it. Next, the programmer or the developer. They will be the ones creating the system. They are responsible for modifying or developing programs to satisfy user requirements. And last, we have the systems analyst. The SA is a professional who specializes in analyzing and designing business systems. The systems analyst is the one who leads the analysis and design of the system. They must be able to conduct interviews, know how to design a database, and know programming to an extent. The system analyst must have a combination of both people and technical skills. The analyst needs to play many roles, balancing several at the same time. First, he or she is a consultant. The SA can bring with them a fresh perspective that other people in an organization do not possess. Next is a supporting expert. The SA draws on professional expertise concerning computer hardware and software databases, networks, and their uses in the business. They serve as a resource for those who are working on and managing other projects. And last, the system analyst must be an agent of change. The SA is a person who serves as a catalyst for change, develops a plan for change, and works with others in facilitating that change. Next, here are the qualities that it takes to be a systems analyst. First is a problem solver. The system analyst views the analysis of problems as a challenge and enjoys devising workable solutions. Next is the communicator. The SA is capable of meaningful, relating meaningfully to other people over extended periods of time. They need enough computer experience to program, to understand the capabilities of computers, glean information requirements from users, and communicate what is needed to programmers. So again, they need to have a certain knowledge on hardware, software, networks, so that they would be able to communicate both with the client and with their team, the programmers. Next is strong personal and professional ethics. The systems analyst needs to shape their clients' relationships. And last is self-disciplined and self-motivated. The SA must be able to coordinate other people as well as innumerable project resources. Okay, next up we have the SDLC, or the Systems Development Life Cycle. It involves six main steps that involve investigation, analysis, design, development, along with testing, implementation, and the maintenance of your system. Following each of these steps sequentially is called the waterfall method. You may not proceed to the next step without completing the previous step. However, you may move back steps in order to improve or fix mistakes that have been done before. Let's get into the first step of preliminary investigation. This is critical to the success of the rest of the project, the preliminary investigation, because no one wants to waste time addressing the wrong problem. In this process, the team identifies problems, opportunities, and objectives. Problems are generally the reason the analyst was called there in the first place, right? To identify the problem. Opportunities are situations that the analyst believes can be improved through the use of computerized information systems. That's why we need to have an ample knowledge on technology so we know what systems, what hardware and software to recommend to our clients. And last, objectives are how can the business reach its objectives by addressing specific problems or opportunities. Here are the activities done in this phase. To identify the problem, you need to interview user management to fully understand their process. By understanding how they do things, then you identify the problem that they are facing. The output for this phase is a feasibility report containing problem definition and objective summaries from which management can make a decision whether to proceed with the project. Okay, moving on. The next step is systems analysis. This is when you study how the company does their processes. You need to understand how the current system and processes work to be able to design the correct system for your client. You gather data through observations and surveys and analyze your findings. To help in gathering data, there are diagrams and models to help visualize your client's processes. Data flow diagrams are charts that input processes and output of the business functions in a structured graphical form. Data dictionary is like a list of all the data items used in the system, as well as their specifications. Structured decisions made those for which the conditions, condition alternatives, action, and action rules can be determined. We will not get into the specifics of how these diagrams work, but you, for those who are going to pursue MIS, will tackle how to make these in your junior year when you are making a system for your client. So we will not get into the specifics of what a data flow diagram is, what a data dictionary is. Save that for your junior year when you actually are making a system for your client. The output for this phase is a summary about your analysis, including the diagrams and recommendation on what should be done. Here are some examples of system analysis tools. So you have your grid charts, system flow charts, top-down analysis. These are just examples that are being used when analyzing a system. Next is system design. This is when the new system is created and designed. This is where you design the data models. You can use information collected earlier to accomplish the logical design of the information system. Here are the activities that are designed. So first are data procedures. They are procedures for users to help them accurately enter their data. Next are you provide users to complete effective input to the information systems through system controls. You devise the human computer interface. You design files or databases that will store data needed by the decision makers. You decide the output of your reports, may they be on screen or printed. You design controls and backup procedures. Okay, so you design many things in this phase. The output for this activity or this phase is the model of the actual system. If you could recall in the database video that was posted in module 2 point something, 2.1, we talked about the database model called an entity relationship diagram or ERD. This is the model of the actual system, and this is the output of the system's design phase. Next up is systems development. In this phase, the programmer is the key player because he or she is the one who actually codes the system. New hardware and software are acquired, developed, and tested. Activities here include, aside from the programmer creating the system, other activities including testing of the system and documentation of the system. Documentation includes procedure manuals, online help, websites, README files, and so on and so forth. These are documentations of the system. Because users are involved from the beginning, right? Because they will be the ones who will be using the system. The documentation should address the questions they have raised and solve jointly with the analyst. So the documentation is more for the users of the system and not those who are actually developing it. Because documentation should include your frequently asked questions and procedure manuals. Output of this phase is the completed computer program and system documentation. Next, we have implementation. System conversion is converting files from old formats to new ones, or building a database, installing equipment, and bringing the new system into production. Conversion to the new system can be done in four ways. So you have direct, parallel, phased, and pilot. Each of these were already actually explained in the previous video of ERP implementations. But if you have not gotten to the video or have forgotten it, the descriptions can be found here. But I will not repeat it now. Another activity done in this phase is called user acceptance testing, and also training of the users is included. The users and the SAD team also review and evaluate the system so that things can be improved on. Output for this phase are your trained personnel, the people that you train to use the system, and the fully installed system. The last phase is systems maintenance. After implementing the system, you are to maintain the system for your client. There will be periodic evaluations to determine whether they are meeting the goals and providing service that they are supposed to. This maintenance is limited, okay? It's not like full lifetime or based off the agreement of you and your client. Yes, it may be lifetime, but maybe they're paying it off a subscription based. But if they're not subscribing, then usually there is a limited time wherein you can do your systems maintenance. Okay? And with that ends our lesson on systems analysis and design. See you in the next video on project management.